Hello traders, Rich here and welcome to Kucoin episode 7, and today we are going to learn how to have an edge over the markets. If you don't know about Kucoin, it's one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world with over 700 billion traded volume on the platform and 10 million registered users from more than 200 different countries. Kucoin has many features like margin trading, spot trading, mining pool, staking, trading bot, and many more. If you don't have an account yet, I make sure to attach my referral link in the description below. And if you create an account through it, you'll benefit from 20% discounts on your trading fees. So let's get started. And as usual, cheers. For those who watched my previous 6 episodes already know how to draw support and resistance, supply and demand, do market structure analysis, and so on. And the reason why this episode is very important is because we are going to combine the previous tools and put them all together. So it's an all-in-one on how to use these tools to know where we have like an edge over the market, or to put in other words, how to put the odds in your favor. That's why it's very important. And for those who know me previously, that I always start from the higher time frames like daily and weekly to know where we are in the market. Are we overall bullish, bearish, or stuck inside the range? It's very important because once you know that, you know where are the areas where you have an edge over the market. For example, I don't have an edge here to look for buy setups. Vice versa, if you take on margin, you don't have an edge if you are looking for sell setups here. Of course, price can still break it downward, but as long as price is sitting like around it, I'm not looking for sell setups until eventually it's broken downward, then it would become a potential resistance. Let's start with the first one. Of course, later on, we'll do many practical examples. As you know me, I like practical learning. For example, on NIR, we've got a range. On TRX, we've got a bullish trend, and so on. So we'll take examples on each and every case. So, but before we start, let's go to the theories, right? So we know that if you are overall bullish, we'll be waiting for the buyers to approach or the bears to kick in, and then the buyers to take over for the next impulse movement to start. Because if you are bullish, we're expecting the price to make higher lows and higher highs, of course. So when this one drops lower, it should be smaller than the impulse. So the impulse is pushing in the direction of the trend. The correction is pushing in the opposite direction of the trends. That's why it's very important to know where you currently are, to know what you are looking for, right? And if you are bullish, we're waiting for the price or the correction to be about to end to catch the next impulse movement upward. That's exactly what we are going to learn today. Of course, I don't have an edge over the market here. The odds are not in my favor because in the middle, we've got two possible scenarios, like 50% chance the price would go up, 50% chance that the price would go down. So I'm not interested in looking for setups around this particular area. And of course, I don't want to look for buy stops around the upper bounds, because it would be at the end of the impulse, the price would be overextended, or if we want to call it overbought. So I don't have an edge here. Of course, price can still go parabolic from here, but from a technical analysis or risk management perspective, I'm not interested in looking for buys here. Of course, unless it breaks above the resistance, it becomes support and we'll be looking for boundary tests. We'll take an example about this in a bit. And vice versa. If you are bearish, okay, if you are trading on spot and you are looking for buy setups, we'll be looking for buy stops around the lower band, not around the upper band, right? If price is going higher, I don't want to buy here. And long story short, if you want, if price is going up, don't buy, okay? Wait for the price to go down, right, to provide you with a better risk to reward ratio, for a better edge, and so on, to look for buy. And like unfortunately, traders do the exact opposite. So when it's going upward, they buy. When it's going downward, they sell. So they enter a buy here, they panic here, they sell. It's vice versa, okay? Let me add this one again. Oops, let me draw it manually. So that's basically it. If you are going downward, impulse, a big impulse pushing direction of the trend, a correction which is smaller than the impulse, now we're looking for sell setups if you traded on margin around the upper area. And to look for buy setups, I needed to be oversold, overextended. Of course, it will be even better to be approaching a horizontal support or a demand. We'll take an example about this in a bit. So I'm not interested in looking for buy stops in the middle or, of course, around the upper bound. I'll be buying around the lower bound and selling on margin around the upper bound. This one is the classic one, which we start with near. We have a range. It's a horizontal one, looking for sell around the upper bound on margin, buy around the lower bound on spot. Like look for areas to close my buy around the upper bound if you trade it on spot. So buy here and close it. That's why it's very important to have some room for the price to go higher from here, right? And like to result in a 2x at least. In this case, like I will be closing half and like get back my money. Anyway, I don't want to get into risk management for now. Maybe it would be a topic for another episode. But you got the idea, right? I have an edge here that price can still go up, have some room before reaching any rejection. Of course, here I wouldn't have an edge. Price can still go up or down, so 50% chance. While here, I have more probability or more odds that the price would go up than down. Of course, it can still be broken downward. In this case, it will become a resistance and we'll be looking for sell leaders, or we expect the price to trade lower. Now, that's basically it. You know what to look for. Let's take some practical examples. If you go to near to weekly time frame, we can see that we are currently in a range. You know that you are in a range. Anyway, you don't really need any tools or indicators to tell you that you are in a range. You can see that price is not trading in a specific direction, a clear direction. Of course, previously, if you zoom into lower time frames, we were bullish, right? Here, for example, and then price broke below the previous lows. Now we are bearish, lower lows and lower highs. Here we were bullish, bearish, right? But we are currently, as you can see from weekly time frame, that's why it's very important to start from the higher time frames inside a big range. These are the highs rejecting it downward. These are the lows rejecting it upward. That's why we've got many rejections from it. So the lower bound is now acting as a support area, was acting as a resistance previously, which we saw in the previous episodes, right? So now around the lower bound, here we have an edge over the market to look for buy setups, because now we can still trade higher from here to around the 12, which is the next rejection or resistance, before we trade lower. So from around 6, 7 to 12, that's a 2x, right? So I would be happy, but of course, I will not look for buy stops here around 10, because price can still drop to 8 or go to 12, right? No matter how many confluence or no matter how many like clues you have that you can enter a buy, I'm not interested in buying. I'm only interested in buying around areas where I have an edge, where the price can still go far away before reaching the next rejection. Of course, I'm not looking for buy stops here. Currently, I'm trading inside this floor. That's my resistance. That's my support. Of course, until eventually the support and resistance here is broken downward with a big bearish candle, then it would become a resistance and a movement till our next zone would be expected. If this happens, I'm not listening and looking for buys here. I'll be looking for buys here around this demand. For those who also watched my previous episode about supply and demand zones. If you haven't yet, don't worry, you can find it on my YouTube channel in a series called Kucoin as Educational Material. So that's basically it. Of course, we'll be looking. We don't buy blindly. We always zoom into lower time frames for extra confirmation, because no matter how strong a support is, it can still be broken downward. Okay, we always zoom into lower time frames and wait for the bulls to take over. Here's the view from daily time frame. We can see it even better. Resistance multiple times. Here we go. So for example, previously, I'm not just looking for buys here. We have a demand zone. So as price approaches the demand, I'll be looking for buy here, because now we have the highs at resistance. So I don't want to buy here. Price can either go up or down with 50% chance. But on this area, I have more edge or more probability that the price would go up more than down. That's exact area where I'm looking for. Previously also, I'm not looking for buys here in the middle. This is a resistance or a rejection. This is a support. So I don't want to buy in the middle, right? So this is very important. Once you highlight where you are in the market, you know what to look for, when and how. Of course, we'll be looking, as mentioned previously, so we zoom into lower time frames and wait for the buyers to take over. As mentioned previously, we were previously bearish for price from inverse head and shoulders pattern. We also covered this inverse head and shoulders pattern previously in a previous episode. We have a head and shoulders pattern. So here are two examples, very, very good ones. Inverse head and shoulders, broken downward. Now we are bearish. I don't want to buy a bearish market, no matter how strong a support area is. I always look for extra confirmation. And in this particular case, This is my last major high, right? So I don't want to buy near until I see a break above it for the bulls to prove to me that they are taking over. Of course, we might still reject this trend line one more time before breaking, or we might still reject it and trade lower for this support to be broken and to become a resistance. Now, let's take one more example. We'll take two more examples, one for a bullish market and one for a bearish market. On TRX, we can't really see a clear direction. All we can see is a range. However, it's in the shape of a symmetrical triangle. However, because on near, you can see that it's in the shape of a horizontal range. While on TRX, it's in the shape of a symmetrical triangle, right? We can see that the price is making lower highs at the same time higher lows, which forms the symmetric triangle. You don't really need anything to draw it. You just follow the previous highs and lows, try to draw it, and you will come up with a shape. So that's basically it. And now I'm around the upper bound of this trend line. Of course, it's an entire zone, not a basic line, so it should treat it like this and so on. You've got the idea. Anyway, let's keep it clean for now. Around the upper bound now, I don't want to buy here, right? I'm looking to buy around the lower bound, which is here, or even this horizontal support, which has been acting as a resistance previously, broken upward support area. And look at how beautiful this one is by combining many previous tools, right? This is how you know where you currently are, thus know where you have an edge, right? I'm not looking for buy setups in the middle of the symmetrical triangle. If you trade it on margin, I'll be looking for setups around the upper bound, buy setups around the lower bound. So we're looking for buy setups previously here because we've got many confluences, a demand area, a support and resistance as mentioned previously, and the lower trend line here. So it was a massive area to look for buy setups. For now, not looking for buys here unless price breaks above the 0.9, right, which is now acting as a resistance. Was a support previously, broken downward, acted as a resistance, broken upward, acted as support, broken downward, acted as resistance. This is now, because price is sitting below it, is currently a resistance area, and I'm not going to look for buy setups around the resistance. So as price goes down, I'll be looking for buy setups here because here you have an edge. The price can go up before reaching a next rejection. Or if we trade higher from here, I don't mind. If you haven't bought yet, of course, then it's fine because once it's broken, it would become what? A support area. In this case, when it's broken, I'll be looking for buy stops on the retest. That's when I have an edge because now price broke above the ceiling. Now we are inside the upper floor, which is this one. If we break above it, we'll be here. Now we'll be looking for buy stops around the lower bounds, okay? And if you zoom in, so now we took two examples, the range one and the symmetrical triangle one. Now for TRX also, a symmetrical triangle on weekly, daily is also a rejection time frame. So if you zoom in, we can see we've got a bullish trend. So it's like 2 in 1 for TRX. So from a higher time frame weekly, we are in a symmetrical triangle. For a daily time frame, we are in a bullish trend. So higher highs and higher lows, trading inside this rising broadening wedge in red, right? So this is the arrow here. I was looking for buy stops previously. I don't know if I posted, yes, I posted an analysis about TRX when it was here. I guess we had an inverse head and shoulders or a trend line. Anyway, now let's focus on the current price action. As price approaches the lower bound again, I'll be looking for buy stops here. I don't want to buy here because price can go up, reject this area, and trade lower, okay? I want to look for buy stops around the lower bounds. Or I don't mind if this one trades higher if I didn't buy yet. For those who didn't buy yet, I'll be looking for buy stops here, just like previously, broken upward, retest, and we'll be looking for buy stops on the retest. Let's take one more example. We've got MANA, right? We had an explosive movement upward previously, like last year, and this is what? A demand zone, exactly. When we have an explosive movement upward, that's a demand. We don't buy here, it would be very expensive. Wait for price to retest it to look for buy setups, right? A demand zone here, we didn't buy, wait for the price to retest it to look for buy setups. The exact same case happening here now. So price is approaching this demand zone, we'll be looking for buy setups. And if we zoom into lower time frames, we know that we are trading like inside this bearish channel. Price is making lower highs and lower lows. So we took two examples previously, symmetric triangle, range, rising channel or rising broadening wedge. For this one, it is the last case, which is a bearish trend, the exact same shape we will see on dot, right? So we are currently bearish, lower lows and lower highs also approaching a very strong support and demand zone. We are looking for buy stops. We don't buy blindly. Price can still trade a little bit lower before trading higher. But around the lower bound, that's why we are looking for buy setups. So on daily time frame again, we can see that we are bearish. I don't want to buy here, right? Since I have this trend line, I had it start from here, from this lower low and lower high. Okay, so I'm not interested in buying mana as long as it's in the middle of the range. So if you want also, you can draw like a trend line in the middle like this. So as long as price is above this area, I don't want to buy. I'm only interested in buying mana around the lower band. Of course, around the upper band, for those who trade on margin, can look for sell setups, right? But around the lower band, for those who trade on margin or on spot also, can look for buy setups. So this is where I have an edge. If you are bearish, approach the lower band, that's where we look for buy setups. That's why it's very important to start your analysis from higher time frames to truly know the overall movement or feeling about the market where we currently are. So around the lower band, we were looking for buy setups here. Now, price is approaching midway, so I don't want to look for buy setups here. Of course, I don't want to look for buy setups here. It's a resistance area. So previously acted as a resistance, broken upward, now support, and now price is below it. So it's acting as a resistance. Moreover, we are bearish, right? We are bearish, trade pushing lower. If we trade higher, we'll be expecting a movement like this. Of course, unless broken upward, then this zone would be now acting as a support and we'll be looking for buy stops on the retest. That's where we have an edge, because price would break the ceiling, it would become a floor, and this is where I have an edge. Price can move higher till the next resistance, which would be, let me highlight it, around this area, right? Around 2.8553 if you want to make it a round number. Here we go. As you can see previously, we've got many rejections from it, right? It's an entire zone, of course. So here I have an edge that I can look for buy stops, and that price can still trade higher a lot before reaching another rejection. I don't want to buy here. I don't want to buy around these two areas. The first one is around the lower bounds, which is here, obviously, of this falling channel, which is also a demand zone. This is the first one. The second area is if we break higher, right, it can be broken like this. We're looking for buy stops, or we might trade higher a little bit, may reject it one more time before breaking it up. But like, in fact, I want to break above it no matter how. Then I'll be looking for buy setups on the retest. Okay, that's why it's very important to start from higher time frames to know where you currently are. Hope you enjoyed this lesson and episode, and I'll see you hopefully on the next one. If you like the content of this video, let me know by liking the video to help it reach more traders. Of course, if you find the materials useful, and I see you hopefully in episode 8. Feel free to request any analysis, any topic for episode 8 in the comment section below. Best of luck, and I'll see you on the next one.